As always, my name is Kenny Duruchilu.
And my name is DENIKE Adimoagun. Good morning. We start off with the front page, as always, The Punch, The Guardian. I start off with the Punch newspaper and the major one right here. Consumers lament as food prices rise 30% in 8 states. Beans, Gary, semolina, others rise by over 30% despite currency gain. Away from that major one, from the Punch, queues return as fuel scarcity hits Abuja, 5 states. 35 oil firms face probe over environmental pollution. Delayed justice, Tinubu, National Assembly demand judicial reforms. I sneezed blood 2 days before chess marathon began on Nokoya. 50,000 households get Lagos palliatives, says Sanwo-Olu. JAM plans meeting with NIMC over candidates with double NIN. Bullying, parents seek justice after another student speaks out. And finally, police shooting victim, not LAUTECH student. Management.
Headlines from the Premium Times: Blackout, Nigerian University reschedules exam over students' protest. NCAA suspends Dana airline operations, is another one there. Oando releases delayed 2022 report, needs 3 trillion naira to close funding gap. Criticisms trail Nigeria's approval of GMO corn for planting. 80 billion naira fraud charges, court asks EFCC to serve Yahaya Bello through his lawyer. CAC revokes NIPO's subsidiaries certificates. Death in the water, systemic failure, fuel, boats accidents along River Niger. So all the stories from the Premium Times this morning. UTME 2024, JAM says candidate accosted over hijab, finished exam. Journalist highlights gaps in Nigeria's digital infrastructure, prefer solutions. Tinubu CGN lament inefficiency of Nigerian justice sector, suggests solutions. CGID wins grant to drive inclusive AI research, innovation in Nigeria. EFCC hands over houses, transmission equipment, other recovered assets to Enugu government. And lastly, from the Premium Times, Ekiti inaugurates security outfit to protect farmlands, schools, palaces.
Some major stories from the Vanguard newspaper. 5.2 trillion naira debt. Federal government recovers 57 billion naira from 10 MDAs. Rivers crisis. 4 Wike loyalists resign as commissioners from Fubara's cabinet. Hardship. Sanwo-Olu launches Eco Cares intervention for 500,000 Lagosians. Lead British school victim sues bullies. Gives ultimatum for sanction. To the major one, why power sector crisis won't end soon by electricity workers. There are several riders to that story. Say frequent system collapse caused by technical other factors. Gencos, gas shortage, aging, dilapidated machinery, inadequate power evacuation capacity. Discos, outdated, obsolete networks, inadequate maintenance of network equipment, low meter penetration. Poor supply becoming unbearable, CPPE. Another rider, our members still generate their power at higher cost, LCCI. And the final rider, we need huge investments, expert. Away from that, Okwama, over 12 residents trapped in forest die of hunger, sickness, as Obrewori inaugurates committee to resettle, rehabilitate villagers. Many villagers still missing. We're searching for them, leaders. Failed Air Nigeria, EFCC operatives grill Sirika's ex-minister defense role. And finally, on the sports side, this one says Siasia excludes stubborn Mikel from Super Eagles' all-time best X1.
All right, out of the Daily Trust this morning, concerns as fuel queues worsen in Abuja, Lagos, others. Undermining our justice system, corruption, undue influence, undermining our justice system, CJN. Elsewhere from the Daily Trust, corruption, already took that. Toddlers die in Ogun flooded gully. Kwara community heads to court over title of Oloro's successor. Also, how borehole drilling leads to water scarcity in Nigeria as a Nigeria daily piece from the Daily Trust. Management shifts exams as AUN students protest blackout on campus. Another Wike loyalist dumps Fubara over redeployment. Stop misusing ex parte order, Akpabio tells judges. Kaduna Assembly demands 𝐿-Rufai's transactions as probe begins. I'll take some more on the business side of things. Concerns as fuel queues worsen. In Abuja already took that. And lastly, from the Daily Trust this morning, reforms NCP malls BOA NERSAL merger.
All right, the Guardian paper, over 5,032 first-class graduates languish amid vacancies in varsity. And some more stories here says currency outside banks up by 300% as economy slips into cash hoarding. Aviators fault interference as federal government grounds Dana Air operations. EFCC withdraws appeal against order restraining Yahaya Bello arrest. Wike's loyalists reject redeployments, resign from Rivers cabinet. Zulum urges establishment of military bases in Sambisa Forest, Mandara Hills. Federal government probes bullying incident at British International School, Abuja. And that's the much to take from The Guardian.
All right, some headlines out of the Nation newspaper. Government opens Nigerians access to consumer credit with 100 billion naira. EFCC returns recovered assets to Enugu government. Telecom firms seek a nod to raise tariffs. Tax defaulting politicians to be barred from contesting 𝐿-Rufai probe. Kaduna Assembly 6 vital documents from Finance Ministry. MDAs. These are some of the headlines from the dailies this morning. We'll take a commercial break right now. When we come back, we'll be delving into the analysis. Just stay with us.
My head's so far away.
Mornings are for dreamers.
I'm a dreamer, yes, I'm a dreamer.
The break of dawn for champions.
Champion, 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 champion.
On 32 FM 94.9.
mi ò kí ń fẹ́ dá àwọn ọmọ mi mọ̀ tí wọ́n bá dé láti ilé ìwé lójoojúmọ́. ẹ ǹlẹ́ o ǹjẹ́ mo mọ̀ yín báyìí.
Màámi àwa ni.
àwọn aṣọ ilé ìwé àti bọ̀sẹ̀ tó dọ̀tí wọ̀nyí mọ́ tónítóní láàárọ̀. àmọ́ ọ̀gá yín ti wá pàwọ̀dà báyìí. òkùnkùn yà mí lẹ́nu kékeré kọ́ lọ́rọ̀ ilé ìwé. kọ́mọ sì tó padà wálé pẹ̀lú àyípadà báyìí. ó ní láti lókun lára. torí náà ni mo ṣe máa ń rí i dájú pé àwọn ọmọ mi ń jàgbádùn ìṣaralóore Milo láràárọ̀.
àwọn ọmọ rẹ nílò òkun tó ṣaralóore máa fún wọn ní àkọ́tun Milo tí a ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ rọ lágbára sí láràárọ̀. ó ní èròjà aṣaralóore tó ń ṣàtìlẹ́yìn ìpèsè okun fún wọn láti járamọ́ iṣẹ́ òòjọ́ wọn. Milo, okun ìtẹ̀síwájú.
Guys, if you've not tried us, here's why you're missing out. First, we're a licensed microfinance bank. Shh, it's not time yet. Also, get our reliable POS when you open a business account or a debit card that works with a personal account. Yes, you can instantly open an account from anywhere for reliability, security, convenience, and speed. You only need one bank. Guys, oh yeah now. Download the app or find an agent near you to get started. MoneyPoint, powering dreams.
Drink that, don't go for it. Yeah. Life na highway. Me, I just stay for my lane. Full speed ahead, oh, no limit in my way. God don't make them my path. Nourishment to give me spark. So I go shine my shine and I will go for it. Go, go. No limits, go for it. Go, go. Drink that, don't go for it.
Ẹ̀yin fans mi.
It's okay.
Ẹ lọ sórí gbogbo ìkànnì ìbánidọ́rẹ̀ẹ́ ní 32 FM 949 fẹ̀yìn ẹ̀
Asafu. It's okay. To cook correct food, they always give me joy. That's now why anytime when they cook like this, I dey always season am with no cubes. Come add correct vegetables inside. Ugu, tatasheo, shombo, onions. No one wey I no dey put. Na im make my pikin dem dey always enjoy my cooking.
Daddy, I never will. I want more.
You see? Sama all your food with correct vegetables. Come season am with no cubes for that ogbonge delicious taste. Today, chop better.
32 FM 94.9.
Thank Thank you for staying with us on the Break It Down Papers review, and it's time to dive into the analysis of some of the headlines that we've read. We have Professor Olu Ojeduko, who's going to be doing that for us this morning. Good morning, Prof.
Yes, top of the day to you.
All right, Prof, let's start off with the Yahaya Bello trial and the situation of things. This was something that we spoke about yesterday, but there seemed to be a new development to the case. And it seems like the EFCC has withdrawn the case at appeal court. You can, of course, shed some light on what this means for the case. The Anti-Graft Agency is saying that in its notice of discontinuance dated April 22, said its decision to terminate further proceedings on the appeal was based on the fact that the initial order a Kogi State High Court made in favor of the former governor has been overtaken by events. And putting that side by side, what the EFCC boss said, that he would resign if Yahaya Bello do not take the full consequence of his action.
Well, I think the first point to note is that the reason why they withdrew is because they're out of time. If we are going to appeal against an order of court, you have to do it within a specified period of time. And I think the order of court was on February 9. So they were out of time. So that's the first thing. The second thing also is that the appeal court has directed them to issue charges against Yahaya Bello if they indeed feel that he has committed any offense. So that's the position. So I think what the EFCC is going to do, this is not the end of the case, is they are going to go back to the drawing board and they're going to issue charges. Once charges are issued against you, then of course you are arraigned before the court, and if to be arraigned, you have to, of course, appear. You have to appear whether you want it or not. The argument here will be that there were no specific charges. He was invited, you understand, and of course Yahaya Bello refused to honor any of the invitation. But you also have to ask the question, if indeed there were no charges, then on what basis was the arraignment, which was being before the Federal High Court in Abuja, on what basis? You can't arraign someone if there are no charges that have been specified from that point of view. So there's a bit murky there. But I think, as I said, the FCC will go back to the drawing board, come up with the charges. It's not enough to media try the Kogi Bello governor, ex-governor as he were. You know, there's some media speculation, not speculation, in fact, he addressed the press, that's the AFCC chairman. And those things, you have to put them to the governor, you have to give him an opportunity to respond. So yes, as many of us would, like him to face justice, it must be done well, it must be done properly, it must be well informed, and the procedure has to be fair.
How long do you think this procedure would take before justice, quote unquote, is served? I think that the people would like to know. So in case you want to follow the case, or so that it doesn't die down like others before it.
Well, I don't think it will die down, but the problem we have most of the time is that we have the ACJ, which is the Administration of Criminal Justice Act, which is supposed to ensure that once a case starts, it goes on and on until it ends. When I used to practice in the United Kingdom, if you started a case today, it may take 3-4 weeks, but each day you sat until the case was resolved. Here, you have adjournments upon adjournments. So it's very difficult to predict when this case, how long it will last. And of course, Yahaya Bello and his lawyers are prepared, you understand, to put every obstacle in its way to ensure that this case doesn't go on as smoothly as possible. The court yesterday, I believe, also ordered substituted service. What does that mean? It means that they can serve, if they can find Bello, which they are unlikely to do, they can serve the substituted service on his lawyers. In other words, the lawyers, once it's served on his lawyers, it is implied that it's served on Yahaya Bello. So we can't predict how long it will take. But I know that what Nigerians want is there are other more cogent things that are concerning us than Yahaya Bello. You know, the food on our table, transportation, and the cost of living. And so while that drama is going on, people are asking the government, when will life get better for us?
Now, speaking of the courts, Prof, the call for judicial reforms from both President Bola Tinubu and Senate President Godswill Akpabio is one of the major reports in the papers this morning. I understand that they were speaking at the National Summit on Justice. Emphasis was made on the need for policy innovation and legislative action to create a justice system that serves the needs of the people. Your reaction to that?
Well, fine words, I say fine words, but is it going to be matched by action? We need judicial reforms, but to get judicial reforms that work, we also need the resources. And we need also government to respect the judiciary so that we have independence of the judiciary. So it's all right them saying all these. But when it comes to it, you understand, are they prepared, to bear the consequences of a judiciary that is independent, a judiciary that fears no man, a judiciary that is blind to your status, and so on and so forth? Are they prepared to bear the consequences? So yes, fine words, I agree with that. And the more resources they get and the more independence the judiciary is, the better the decisions they are able to render. And of course, the conditions of pay also matter. Conditions of service matter. All those sort of things, ensure that our judges, are straight down the line and do the job efficiently, effectively, as it were.
All right, let's take a look at this one. There seemed to be a response. Peter Obi replying on mockery. That's Reno Mockery. There was something on social media. Reno Mockery challenged the former Anambra State governor and presidential candidate and said he had not built a single school in the state 8 years as a governor, and even promised a reward of $10,000 to anyone who could show him a school built by Obi. And now he's responded saying that he improved the quality, physical and mental well-being of the people and schools, and they had the basic things that they needed. What's your angle to this particular one?
I think this is a very simplistic intervention by Reno Omokri. Of course, it matters that we have schools. You understand? It matters that schools are provided in areas that don't have schools. But I have to ask the question, if we have all the schools being provided, and if they're not equipped, if they're not schools where people can learn and be developed mentally, physically, as the case might be, then what's the point of just creating more and more schools? And Obi's argument is that, well, he improved the ones that he met. And therefore, Omokri is not correct. I think that both sides have merit. You would expect in 8 years that the governor would at least establish 1 or 2 more schools. The population is increasing. Except his argument is that he expanded those schools. So I must give it to Omokri here. He's not one of my favorite persons, but I must give it to him. That, of course, Obi, in 8 years, cannot say he didn't build or didn't add new schools. And if he didn't, then, of course, that's a negative, not a plus, in my view, for Obi.
All right, Prof, what do you make of the call for change towards borrowing and debt servicing made by the AFDB president? As reported in the Punch this morning, he highlighted Africa's ballooning external debt, reaching $824 billion in 2021, with 65% of GDP dedicated to servicing some of these obligations. He also revealed that a substantial amount of African resources goes into servicing debt, with $74 billion expected to be paid in debt service payments in 1 year alone. What do you make of this?
Well, the problem is that most of the debt that we incur is not for investment, it's for consumption and for embezzlement. And except our debts actually go for investment, then we're going to continue to face this kind of problem again and again. See the amount of money we could recover, EFCC recovers. So-called debts, you understand. Many of them have gone into the pockets of private people, private individuals, ex-government officials. And I think that story is not just akin to Nigeria. I think across Africa, we have evidence of graft. We have evidence of people using loans that should be used to develop the people infrastructure and, of course, expand the economy, going into private pockets. When this money is going to private pocket, it doesn't expand the economy, because what you do is you squirrel them away, put them in some account abroad, and of course it doesn't develop this country, it develops the country abroad. So we get loans from them, and the money still goes back abroad because of what people do with them. So I think they should encourage probity, they should encourage accountability, transparency, so that when loans are given, or when debts are incurred, people on a quarterly basis, or even shorter than that, are able to give an account as to what these loans are used for. So measurable monitoring and evaluation need to be put in place for this thing. Otherwise, we are back to this again and again.
Yeah, because it's something that he mentioned as well, transparency in borrowing practices, so that everybody knows what's happening with these monies.
Absolutely.
All right, I'll take this one out of the Punch. It was a major story. Consumers lament as food prices rise 30% in 8 states. Beans, Gary, semolina, others rise by 30% despite currency gain. A lot of people are expecting that dollar is coming down, and so food and all of these things should also come down. But it doesn't seem like there's some, would I say, government policies in place that can help in the reduction of the cost of food? Because food is very, very important. And at this time, that's the major thing a lot of people are looking to come down, even if petrol is not. Food should at least come down, probably to what it used to be, a bag of rice or a bag of gari. What's your reaction to that?
Well, that's on the assumption that the indices, the inflationary tendencies come from the strength and relative weakness of the naira. Some people would argue that the food insecurity is also a great reason, or is one of the fundamental reasons why we have inflation of that sort. And so even if the naira regains its strength, if there's food insecurity, if you are unable to get food to the destination, if there's lack of infrastructure to store this food, perish some of these perishables, then of course we'll continue to get inflation. So I think, yes, strength of the naira should add to the reduction in inflation, but that's not the whole story.
A lot of people are believing, sorry to cut you short, that these traders increased the price of food by themselves at the time when the dollar was high. And so it's perplexing now that they're not intentionally reducing it.
And there will some who would argue that it's come down, but the problem is that it goes up and down like a yo-yo. So of course there's some malfeasance, there's some dodgy things going on, but my own position is that apart from that also is the issue of the insecurity. So yes, we would appeal, of course, to the traders, we appeal to the conscience of Nigerians, you understand, not to artificially inflate. So do we need a price control? Do we need some government intervention? Where we have price control people going around, measuring what the actual cost of rice is and seeing whether in the marketplace they are adhering to that. Do we need to put that in place? Some would argue that we need to do that because on their own, it doesn't seem as if the traders are necessarily responding accordingly.
All right, Prof, there's this report also about a group from the House of Representatives yesterday having invited 35 oil companies and the boss of the NNPC for questioning over environmental degradation caused by the activity of oil companies across oil-producing communities in Nigeria. Only 4 of the 35 oil companies showed up for that particular meeting. What do you make of these? And also, we understand that of those 4 that appeared, they didn't bring along relevant documents for that particular investigation. What is their absence saying here? Talking about environmental concerns of oil-producing communities. What do you make of that?
I think the absence is showing that they don't have regard for the legislature. They don't have regard for the National Assembly. And of course, the National Assembly constitutionally has the power of oversight, you understand, over government agencies and of course over government parastatals. You have to ask yourself the question, these companies, they're private companies. And if they're private companies, you understand, except there's some subpoena or something, then they're not bound to come up or to turn up. As a matter of courtesy, they will or they should, you understand, but you can't force them to. If the National Assembly itself is not commanding respect, then these people are not going to give them, the time of the day. And part of it also has to do with the conduct of the National Assembly, the way they've been conducting themselves, right. The constituency allowance, the credibility they have there. So I think it's a question of credibility. That's why they haven't turned up. Do I support them for not turning up? No, I don't. But of course, the National Assembly must do more in terms of its credibility and status for these private companies, you understand, to respect them and to jump when they say jump.
What goes into fixing the credibility of the National Assembly? How do they go about that, restoring that faith, if you like?
They have to show that they're not there for themselves. They have to show they're not there for constituency allowances. They have to show they're not there to just accumulate vehicles, the luxury vehicles and that sort of thing. They have to show that they can sacrifice their needs. And even if they're going to go for luxury items, they would do made in Nigeria, you understand, from that point of view. They also have to show, you understand, when it comes to the attendance of sittings, that they're attending the sittings adequately. There's some argument by some people that a lot of them are not attending, as they should, from that point of view. And of course, they have to employ experts, you understand. If they themselves are not prepared in their oversight functions, then those that they invite will not take them seriously. So you have experts, use the academics, use the resource people, you understand, to do your investigations, and let the questions not just be mundane questions, because you've seen some of the sittings. Some of the questions are very mundane. It's not as if any research has gone into them. And these people are busy. These oil people companies are busy. They're busy making money, of course, but they're also busy producing oil, as it were.
All right, to take a look at this story, FCCP unseals Abuja Chinese supermarket after quizzing owner. The outrage on social media about a particular Chinese would I say, store that would not allow Nigerians shop. And she was summoned, the owner of the place, Louis Bay, was summoned and to defend the allegation of discrimination against her. And it seems like the FCCP now has unsealed that supermarket after quizzing her. Do you think that this is probably the end of the situation, or there still is going to be some more interrogation? And should this have been unsealed now? And should the information about what happened and how this progresses should have been shared?
Well, I hope that in sealing it, that they've given these people the opportunity to state their own case. But I think you can't have a shop in Nigeria just being for one nationality. The Brits have their own shop and they don't allow Nigerians to go in. The Chinese having theirs and they don't allow Nigerians. Of course, that's discrimination. And of course, I don't know what the outcome of the conversations were once this was sealed, but I will hope that that will be the end of that drama. You can't stop Nigerians in their own country, or indeed anywhere in the world, you understand, for not being allowed to shop because of their nationality. And I think the Chinese got that wrong. Though the Chinese, not the Chinese as a nation, but those Chinese people running that supermarket got it wrong. You can have a Chinese shop, but it must be free for everybody to be able to have access, not just free for those who are of your nationality. So I would hope that this has been resolved satisfactorily, but I would hope that a lesson also goes out to anybody who thinks they can discriminate against Nigerians. You can't come to our country and continue discrimination on whatever basis you think it's fit.
All right, we have to go on a commercial break right now. When we come back, we'll be opening the phone lines, taking your reactions to the headlines and, of course, the analysis as well. Stay with us.
From motivationals
to news
to sports and talk.
We'll give you all you need to make the best of your day.
On the Break of Dawn, 32 FM 94.9.
Get in on the action with Betano, your exciting destination for sports betting. Enjoy an award-winning experience with amazing betting options, cash outs and missions, as well as other features. Join now and get a welcome bonus of up to 200,000 naira. Betano.ng, the game starts now.
Ọ̀gá tíṣà ẹ jọ̀ọ́ kí ló ń ṣẹlẹ̀ sáwọn ọmọ nílé ìwé ó ṣe jẹ́ pé nígbà tí wọ́n bá ń kúrò nílé láàárọ̀ wọ́n á mọ́ tónítóní àmọ́ tí wọ́n bá máa fi padà dé báyìí nǹkan ti yàtọ̀.
Iṣẹ́ ò dúró ni mà gbogbo akẹ́kọ̀ọ́ ni àtẹ̀rẹ́ ìdárayá ó kún inú ló ń jẹ torí náà ìdọ̀tí òògùn aṣọ yíya àti bàtà tó dọ̀tí yẹn wọ́n ń ṣàfihàn pé alára tó jí pépé làwọn ọmọ yín.
ìyẹn mà tún ga o.
Àwọn ọmọ rẹ nílò okun tó ṣara lóore máa fún wọn ní àkọ́tún mélòó tí a ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ rán lágbára sí láràárọ̀. Ó ní àwọn èròjà aṣara lóore tí ń ṣàtìlẹ́yìn ìpèsè okun fún wọn láti járamọ́ iṣẹ́ òòjọ́ wọn. Milo okun ìtẹ̀síwájú.
Milo! Ẹ̀yin fans mi.
It's okay.
Ẹ lọ sórí gbogbo ìkànnì ìbánidọ́rẹ̀ẹ́ ní 32 FM 949 fẹ̀yìn ẹ̀ àsáàpù.
It's okay.
Meals have a way of taking us on a journey. And when you add plenty of vegetables like efo, ugu, and season with the rich taste of North seasoning cubes, even better.
So, go ahead and elevate your meals with more vegetables and the rich taste of Knorr cubes. Today, eat for good.
You're listening to 32 FM 94.9.
Three to FM 949 Ibadan, the Break of Dawn Papers Review, and it's time to take your reactions to the headlines. 0809 7949 and 0705 5949. Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning. I'm from Dubai. I was looking yesterday. I just discovered that this Nigerians were like into slavery since this Look at the lot of arrest appeal against Yahya Bello. I began to look at all of them. Several billions against the Gambidos. Several billions against Yahya Bello. Several billions against Better Edu. Like that, man. The country, my sister. Are they come to police this Nigeria? Why how do you get to power? That's how the best of today.
All right, thank you very much. The numbers once again 0705 5949, 0829 7949. We're live on Facebook, 32FM 949 Ibadan, as well as 32FM 949 Fenye. 𝐂𝐑𝐈𝐒 Babatunde on Facebook says, we are appealing to the barristers of Yahya Bello to help the country not to exploit lacunas in the law to free him. They shouldn't argue the case based on ethnicality to free him. We tell the barristers the truth, but should be fair on the country not to elongate the case purely to free Bello. Hello, good morning.
I'm John Nuzonjaku. Thank you, Professor, for hearing from you. Just make me to laugh this morning when you mentioned of 2016 Administration of Justice Criminal Act. You are a lawyer and you are a professor for that matter. Let me remind you that the judiciary is the problem of fighting corruption, one of the problems. Let me remind you that on May 2020, the Supreme Court nullified the entire trial and the conviction of 𝐷 on the ground that it was wrong and unconstitutional for Justice Mohammed Jide, who was earlier elevated to the Court of Appeal bench in the middle of the trial to return to the Federal High Court to conclude the case. The Apex Court also nullified Section 396 of Section 7 of that Act 2016, which empowered the then President of the Court of Appeal, retired Justice Zainab Bukachua, to authorize Justice Mohammed Jide to return to the Federal High Court to conclude the case for being unconstitutional. Justice system is structured to favor the lead. So that's what is my own conclusion. The court itself or the judiciary is one of the problems confronting the way against corruption this country. John knows on justice.
All right, thank you. 0705 5949, 0829 7949. Once again, we're live on Facebook. You can drop your reactions on Facebook. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Morning, sir. What's your name?
This is Olufemi from Oyo.
All right.
We were saying yesterday that we will see if President Tinubu is fighting corruption or is withholding political opponent. Can we now see for EFCC chairman to say that if he's not allowed to probe, Yahya Bello will resign, and this morning is withdrawing the case? You know that they are only taking us as a fool. They know what they are doing. They will have told him he must not resign and should step down the case. God help Nigeria. We should not keep ourselves because of these people. They know where they are meeting. God help us.
Prof, you wanted to react to that?
No, let's be very clear. They're not withdrawing any case. They're just ensuring that they do to go about it procedurally, fairly, and appropriately. The case will still be arraigned. It's not being withdrawn. It's the appeal against the order of the Kogi State High Court that is being withdrawn, not the case.
Hello, good morning.
Kenny, good morning. I'm Prof. Good morning. This is okay. Yesterday, DENIKE, I remember saying, let's not commend the EFCC chairman. Let's just watch and know what will happen. But I still boil down to still come to the Nigerian issue. I remember that when we were talking about education, and I said some of the companies will tell you are 26 years, you must have 8 years experience. Is it not the same thing? Probably we should go to what ex-President Olusegun Obasanjo just said, that we should get to EFCC should get to Bulubu lawyers, that is what will work this out. Because with the way it's happening, Prof, you are a lawyer, but an average Nigerian is seeing it as if EFCC wants to throw this away. I want us to also reason like an average Nigerian, because this is what EFCC have always been doing. That's why I love the word you use, drama. It's almost like a drama. Will this drama still continue? What every Nigerian is saying is it still going the same way that they've been doing it? Good morning, basically.
All right, thank you very much. Miriam Yetunde on Facebook says, good morning. Report has it that prices of foodstuff has again soared, which to me is as a result of the incompetence of the federal government to govern with people's face. We need a secure nation which will be conducive for farmers in a bid to access their farms and in return solve the issues of food insecurity.
Hello,
good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Professor. My name is Yinka Mario, calling from Apata. On the issue of hiking in food prices, I think everything should not we should not be blaming the government on issues like this. Even some of us, the market, the mamalogia, the yalogia, those that are selling items in the market, they as well have a hand in this. Some of them, they have stocked their shops with food stuff even before the inflation arises. And now when the inflation arises, all of a sudden, inflate the price of the items. And now Nigeria is a country that whatever goes up hardly come down. Like, look at it now. In Lagos now, they said fuel is being sold as low as 400 or 500 naira plus as of last week. And in Ibadan here, the least fuel, the place you can see fuel is 580, which is MNPC. Others are selling as high as 680, 690, 700. So I think we are the problem of ourselves. So I think the government should just set up a price control board that will cut across the 36 states that will ensure that those those are selling food items that they reduce their price. I think that's what the government has to do. On the issue of the Chinese cuisine, the Chinese restaurant that was being sealed up, I think we said it on Tuesday on 9 FM. And thank God that we said that the government should rise on this, and the government said they shut up the restaurant. I think it's a good one. So there's only one reason where I think the restaurant should be open back. That's when the owner of this Chinese restaurant says that they will need to sell to Nigerians because they are selling our line, and we should have access to most of those of us that have interest in buying Chinese cuisine or that have interest in eating Chinese meal. And I say you cannot say for us. So let the management tell us that they will need to sell to Nigerians. Thank you very much.
Okay.
All right. According to report, that Chinese supermarket has been unsealed. That's according to the report from the papers. Babatunde says Gary is now 1,400 naira. Same goes for other food materials. This is killing. Let us support this government as Nigerians to make life bearable. PBAT administration is working and Nigeria is moving. Hello for Kombale. Hello.
Good morning.
Please, once again, John, let our listeners get this correct. That the EFCC now will join the case against 𝐵𝐵𝐄, but we do the appeal because it has been overtaken by its friends. Take it. John Njok is my name. Thank you.
All right. 0705 5949 0809 7949. Raja Hafiz says, good morning, Kenny and DENIKE. About Yahya Bello issue, EFCC should not discontinue the case. The case must follow to the end. If a case like this goes just like that, it's the beginning of new corruption in Nigeria. God bless Nigeria. Kedira Babatunde says, nothing bad in borrowing to develop the country, but how do we utilize it? PBAT should ensure that things are done differently. Anybody caught siphoning out resources for personal gain should be thoroughly dealt with.
Hello. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Tony Brown here. Well done to you in the studio there. I think we should encourage the FCC to do a good job. I'll be surprised if this case is ongoing. Because it is not all the time the mighty will have their way. It shouldn't be all the time. And one of the challenges we have in this country is the fact that we have never allowed our institutions to take preeminence. I mean, I'm not saying the case is withdrawn or the case is not withdrawn, but what I'm saying is that the body language of this administration is to, for what I could find, is that they are ready to fight corruption. But let us not fight corruption through our lips. We should fight corruption because we want to fight corruption. And I will have to conclude this morning that EFCC must pursue this case to the letter, to the end. And what Nigerians want to see what will come out of it. It doesn't matter who else is God. I mean, the former governor of Kogi State, Bello, shouldn't be the big fish alone.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Speaking of the EFCC, Prof, just as we're about to wrap up, it seems like the EFCC returned recovered assets to Enugu State Governor, Governor Peter Mba. What do you make of this? The assets recovered by the commission were forfeited to the federal government, but the EFCC, which began an investigation into the case since 2007, has now handed over the assets to the governor. What's your
There probably is a reason, and the reason will be that they don't have the evidence, as it were, beyond reasonable doubt to suggest that was either embezzled or acquired illegally. And of course, for you to do a forfeiture, you must be sure, you must be certain that this was acquired illegally or acquired, without recourse to the law from that point of view. But I think to the people out there, they will be disheartened because they will say, every time it seems as if the rich get their way, or most times they get their way. And even when the assets, which presumably they felt were unjustifiably acquired, has now been returned. My own argument would be the recourse is always to the law. You go back to the court if you feel that EFCC should not have acted accordingly from that point of view. But on the face of it, it doesn't look appropriate.
Thank you very much, Professor 𝐂𝐒𝐒𝐄𝐑, for joining us this morning on the Papers Review. We do appreciate you, sir. Thank you, listener, for joining us as well. The Papers Review will be back your way tomorrow, 6:30 a.m. I am Kenny Durutilu. Good morning.
And I am DENIKE. Demo Agun. The Smart Kids Show is up next.